Want to bet? You can do it at Sports Interaction, Canada's sportsbook. The World Series may be over, but we still have a lot of football and hockey to talk about and bet on. Bet pre-game, live in play, or on one of our many prop bets. Made for Canadians by Canadians, Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all sports betting has to offer. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. Ontario only, 19 and over. Please play responsibly.
Then we'll start with the Eastern Conference. I'll start with the top three teams in the Metro and then the Atlantic, and then the teams in the two wildcard spots. So in the Metro, let's start with the New Jersey Devils, who currently lead that division.
This is a red hot screaming contender. Like, let's double underline the Devils contender status, because
I have double underlined it.
I'm not just looking at a 13-game win streak, which I know has been ended at this recording, but I'm just looking at the full range of the way they play. They have thoroughly dominated the league this year. They, like, seriously, their underlying shot metrics, expected goals for, everything are off the charts. You know, even in losing to the Leafs on Wednesday night, they had a territorial advantage in that game. I just think they are a 100% contender. I know that there's a lot of growing and learning that might have to happen quickly for them to actually go and win a Stanley Cup, you know, with players like Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes being so important to them and not having that playoff experience. Typically we haven't seen that happen, but I don't see any reason. If I'm not calling them a contender, this whole exercise is flawed, because to me, they're the number one contender in the league based on the play so far through 6 weeks of the season.
It's interesting that the Devils don't have that much experience. And then they have Lindy Ruff, who has boatloads of playoff experience.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard thing to know how their season is going to develop. But if we're just going off what we're seeing, they have started great. And the hard thing is it's such a long season. Obviously, teams do have swings up and down. I think some of the really good teams in the league, a team like Colorado, and look, Colorado's dealing with a ton of injuries too, so this is a factor. But they maybe don't get up for the first part of the season as much as some of these teams that have something to prove. And so, you know, we might see the Devils retreat a little bit in terms of how much of a contender I think they are. But again, just going off of what we've seen so far, I'm impressed by them. I'm top to bottom. I mean, Lindy Ruff is he's seen some things. You know, we were talking about him at the start of the year. Maybe his job's on the line if things don't go well. Well, to say they've gone well would be an understatement to this stage.
Let's move on to the New York Islanders. They are second in the Metropolitan Division.
I see them as a pretender. Look, I think they're good enough to be a playoff team for sure. If we're talking about a contender to win the Stanley Cup, I don't see it as much. I know they've got a fantastic goaltender and a certain way of playing games that has had playoff success in the past that got them to back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals under Barry Trotz. But I still think they're missing something offensively that is needed. Now, you know, maybe they're one of the teams that have been mentioned. Maybe they get in the Patrick Kane sweepstakes later in the year. There's certainly things that they can do maybe to go up in my eyes, but you know, at this stage, I just don't see them among the teams I consider a real Stanley Cup threat this season.
The Carolina Hurricanes to round out the Metropolitan Division's top three teams.
Contender. I mean, they're another one, you know, just as they always are. It seems like all of the underlying numbers there are positive. They have the experience that we're talking about New Jersey maybe not having. You know, Carolina's been through some playoff battles and you know, really followed what I think would be the model you see for teams that ultimately win a Stanley Cup is going through that, experiencing disappointment, learning how to play, you know, because the games do change when you get to that part of the year. I think that, you know, we still have some lack of clarity in their goaltending picture. You know, they signed a young goaltender on Wednesday, Pyotr Kochetkov, pardon me for the pronunciation. And he's had really encouraging start to his NHL career, but we don't know if Frederik Andersen's going to be in net. I mean, there's question marks in Carolina when it comes to it, but I just think they've been a really good team for a really long time, and they've got lots of players. I mean, Marty Necas has had a great start to the year. Svechnikov as well. So I think they have all the tools needed to go and win the thing.
Are you aware that Pyotr Kochetkov's nickname, according to Carolina Hurricanes Twitter, is Coochie?
I am. I saw that yesterday when he signed his deal, Coochie. I feel weird calling him Coochie, but I mean, I can at least pronounce that a little bit better. I got to work on that one because it looks like he's going to be a goaltender to watch.
Yeah, I feel weird about Coochie. And I think, you know what, we'll just leave that there.